recently I watched this video by Sammy and Graham, and she was talking about how we can simply skip all the work when it comes to manifesting, like all these techniques. And it may also create thoughts in your mind such as, is she just bragging? Is she just like, twisting all these words to make it sound like you don't need to do any work? And I want to talk about whether if it's actually a good healthy belief to have that you can simply manifest what you want, or you have to still work on the techniques in order to get what you want. And I also wanted to share with you a story from my own life, very personal experience, which is gonna help clarify on this exact topic, whether you should be using techniques and working on yourself, or simply skip the work and start manifesting. Is that even possible? Welcome back to this video, guys. My name is Rant. I'm a manifesting coach, and if you haven't already signed up for my free course Manifest Like Neville, which talks about all the different techniques that Neville Goddard taught, you can sign up for that in the link in the description box below. Let's talk about the video itself. Sammy, I actually really like her. Her videos on law of assumption is what really made me look into Neville Goddard's teaching in depth. She seems like this very convincing, influential kind of personality, and I don't know if she's always done the work to get to this point, or she was always like this, but her beliefs and her thoughts about the manifestation is like really strong. So the whole context of this video is she starts ranting about all these TikTokers who are making videos on manifesting techniques, like different techniques. And to an extent, I agree that all these TikTokers are coming out there with different techniques, and they're trying to make people believe that you have to do certain techniques in order to manifest what you want. And also these like people who are trying to teach the techniques are trying to impose their own limiting beliefs to others and saying like this is the only way that you can manifest a desire. And I have to also disagree with that. See, the techniques are simply the means to get to our end goal. We have to be able to change our assumptions from, okay, I can't have this, I'm not able to manifest certain things, or I can't be with a specific person or whatever. You have to simply change that into simply thinking, feeling that you're already worthy of having what you want. So in that way, yes, of course you can skip all the work, but the question is that, are you gonna be able to sustain that belief without actually trying out any techniques at all? And my answer to that is actually yes and no, and let me explain what that means, okay? One of the things that I really loved about Tony Robbins is like he made me realize that change can happen in an instant. And I started looking back in my own life, and I saw where I started to change and start shifting my own beliefs, and it all came back to one point. And when I was doing that, I didn't even realize that I was doing that, but I was just doing it from a matter of pure determination and conviction that I was like, okay, I'm never gonna let this thing happen in my life anymore. And when that happened, my life completely shifted, and all of a sudden things started to change in my reality. So let me share a little bit of my own personal experience with you, okay? Growing up, I used to feel like very incompetent in a lot of ways, and I always thought that I could never have what I want. And part of this was because of the conditioning that was going on in my environment, like the close family members. Even in school, people were constantly like bullying me. Even the teachers would tell me like I'm no good for nothing. Even though at that time I would probably be revolting against it, eventually I succumbed into that belief and started thinking that, okay, yes, maybe I am not worth it, right? So this became my internal belief. And not only that, I always had problems with authority, whether it be like teachers or bosses at work or your managers who you would have to work under. And whenever I got in contact with any of those people, they would simply be trying to manipulate me to a certain degree and making me feel worthless, and all of those old limiting stories would eventually keep showing up. So when I first went to America back in 2007, there was this huge trend of a lot of people going out there to like different universities, and they had done a lot of research. But when I went to America, it wasn't even by my own choice, because my parents simply didn't want to deal with me, so they kind of like shipped me out to USA in hopes for a better life for myself. I can completely understand the decision looking back now, but at that time I was simply feeling like a victim from the entire world around me. So when I went there, I had no work permit or anything, but you have to make money. I had a family member who asked me to come to his store and start working for him, and it was more like this convenience store. Even though he seemed to be a very reasonable and considerate person at first, eventually he started almost treating me like a slave, and I had to do all this chores for him all day long, and my life seemed really pathetic. At that time, I was not only like working for him, but I was also living for him. But he started to treat me almost like this servant, like a slave kind of mentality. At least not at home, but at work, that was definitely his attitude, because he was paying for everything for me, right? His actions and his behaviors made me think that he actually owned me. When that was happening, I had no other fucking goals, honestly. My only goal was to get out of that toxic, negative situation. That was my only goal at the time. And at that time, I had no work permit. I couldn't find a job anywhere else. Also, I had enrolled to a college which was very close to his house. But the vicious cycle was going on for so long, I just couldn't see a way out. And at that time, I had no idea about manifesting and law of assumption and anything at all. But eventually, there came a time that I was so frustrated that I instantly decided to make a change right then and there. I told myself that I'm never gonna take any of this like shitty behaviors from others. I'm not gonna allow anybody else to manipulate me ever in my life. And right then and there, I simply changed my beliefs about me. I didn't even go and talk to him, but he knew the way I was carrying myself from the next day on, that I wasn't the same person anymore. So his orders on me started to become more and more polite, and the workload started to become even better, and everything else started to kind of like fall into place. And eventually I just got the courage enough to tell him that, okay, I don't want to work for you anymore. I'm just gonna go to a different place. In fact, we had like this little argument towards the end, which led me to kind of leave that place, that toxic environment, and just start living my own life and start creating my own life. This person was a very close person to my family. In fact, we're still close to this day, because right now our relationship has completely shifted and we respect each other to a great degree. Even though he's much older than me, he really trusts and believes my doing in my life. In fact, he also encourages me to do these YouTube videos now. So the relationship has now really shifted, you see. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is just like what Tony Robbins says, change can happen in an instant, just like this, right? And it all comes down to you being able to take the decision to change your life from then and there on. So when it comes to technique, yes, you can actually skip those techniques, because if you just make a decision in your own mind that, okay, this is the person you want to be, you can simply change your attitudes and thoughts about the way you see the reality right then and there. But the problem is that for a lot of people, until and unless their problem becomes so surmountable and unbearable, they won't be able to snap out of it. Think of it more as this rubber band that's like stretching, right? It's stretching backwards. The problems are getting you stretched so backwards, and it gets to this point that it can't go back anymore. And from there, they kind of like catapult out to this place where they actually finally want to be. To be honest, you don't have to get to that state in order to start making decisions. There's also a better way where you don't have to take yourself through all that pain and struggle, because you simply can't think about your vision and just make it more compelling in your mind. Give yourself enough reasons why you need to change your thoughts and beliefs about the reality right now in order to get to that point. Because if you won't be able to decide to make that change, the change is gonna happen gradually. There is no other way around it. So in order to skip all the work, you have to really decide within that you wanna change your internal way of thinking, the way you see a reality, the way you perceive the reality, in order to get what you want. And from then on, you just simply go out there, walk in the world, feeling like, yes, you are absolutely worthy of having what you want. There's nothing that's gonna stop you to get towards your goal. That's the kind of belief that you need to embody in order to get what you want. And whenever you think about your goal, you always think that, fuck yes, I'm gonna get there. There's no other way around it, right? That's the way you have to start approaching life if you really want to skip all the work and start getting what you want right now. If you feel like you're stuck in that rut where you feel like you need to be trying out different techniques and you think like nothing is working, think about the decision. Ask yourself whether you have already made the decision to get what you want or not, or are you simply trying to try out different techniques, right? Because like Yoda says, do or not, there's no try, right? You are not really doing the work if you're simply trying out different techniques, right? So you have to be really absolutely committed to getting to that point where you feel like you can have what you want. That's the ultimate goal of manifestation, right? Anything else that we do is simply a means to get you to that place where you feel like you can already have what you want. That exact desire that you want to have right now is absolutely possible. So what decision can you make right now to shift your gears into getting to that place of absolute certainty where you think, feel, and believe that it's absolutely possible to manifest your goals and that you're already worthy of having that in your life right now? Let me know that down in the comment section below. And with that being said, guys, I want to wish you all the very best. And if you haven't signed up for that free Never Go Out course, that's down in the link below. Don't forget to check it out. With that, I want to wish you all the very best. Happy manifesting. Goodbye and namaste.